Hello, everyone, and very welcome. My name is Ulrika Hedlund. I am the founder and CEO of Storyals. And today we are going to be talking about learning to love the new Outlook. Now, to do that, I invited no other than Sandra, who is the head of marketing and communication at Sandvik. So, Sandra, over to you for a little introduction of yourself.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for having me in this webinar. As you said, I'm Sandra Anderstedt, heading up marketing and communications at one of the business areas within the Sandvik Group. I have been with Sandvik for a long time, 18 years, and we use Microsoft within Sandvik. So looking forward to exploring the new Outlook since I'm a classic Outlook user today.
And Sandra, I also follow you on LinkedIn. You have a wonderful communication blog. I think you wrote a post yesterday, right? Can you share a little bit about your blog?
Yes, it started actually with me and a colleague. We wanted to reach our leaders in our business area and give them tips and tricks when it comes to communication. And then I have a separate passion as well, which is personal efficiency. And I love planning, organizing, structure. I'm quite efficient myself, and I'm quite nerdy as well. I can spend the weekend diving into new functionalities. So then I thought in this newsletter, why can I not share that aspect as well? So that regardless if someone wants to read it or not, that is also what I'm writing about.
And I think this is a great blog. And we often talk about in digital transformation and in using new technology. We need IT, of course. We need marketing and the communication, and we need HR. So all of those need to work together. We need to get all of our leaders to be a little bit more digitally savvy. And I think Sandvik is an amazing example of an organization and a company that really invests in digital upskilling. I also know you had a promptathon and your CEO was out sharing the learnings from that. So that's really amazing. So, but like you said, you are a user of the classic Outlook, right?
Yeah.
And we are talking today about learning to love the new Outlook. So I thought before we get going with today's webinar, let's do a little poll and see the audience. Which version of Outlook do you use? Yes, so from the ones who have responded now, so we have a little bit of a majority of the new Outlook. Thank you so much for that. So hopefully our ambition for this webinar today is that you're going to really find some new things that you might have not seen before. Sandra, I know that you have a few things that you're kind of clinging on to, right, with the classic Outlook. So we'll get into some of those features. But have you tried to switch over sometimes to the new Outlook?
I have several times. Being on the classic Outlook is a little bit off-brand for myself because I like to explore new features and functionalities. But there is one particular functionality that I use all the time. And in Outlook, I use my calendar and my to-do a lot, like all the time during the day. And there is one specific functionality that is not, as far as I have seen, available in new Outlook. So that is what and I've given feedback several times every time I close the new Outlook, but
yeah. What I wanted to start with a little bit is just explain why this is happening. So this was a Microsoft initiative that started years back where they needed to have a unified code base for Outlook so that they can have a shared code base so that it works the same. Outlook on the web, Outlook on the mobile, and then Outlook on the desktop. This initiative started many years ago, but it has taken so long time for Microsoft to get this on par with where we want to be in Outlook. So they moved the small business users over first. And now they recently announced that the new Outlook would become the default in April 2026. And that is next month. So they announced that in 2026 in April, the default client would be the new Outlook. But then just last week, there came articles from different sources that they're now pushing this 1 year into the future. So apparently, again, there's a lot of feedback on some of the things that are not there yet, and especially support for com add-ins and a lot of organizations that have built a lot of solutions into their document management systems, etc., into Outlook, and these are not working with the new Outlook. This is just for those of you who are in the enterprise sector. Opt-out date is being pushed, so it means that we have another year. But with that said, I warmly encourage you to start promoting the new Outlook, because when we start looking at all of the different features, there's so many things that we can do in the new Outlook that you cannot do in the classic Outlook. And Sandra, I'm also hoping that after this conversation today, that we'll be able to change your mind. So
yeah, me too.
yeah. So interesting to see where we're going to go with this. But I wanted to share those links with you. And with that, another thing that's important for you to know is what version of Outlook. They update on a monthly basis. But large organizations like you at Sandvik, you don't get those updates every month, which means that even if there are some features and functionalities that have been rolled out in the new Outlook, even if you have the new Outlook when you're on an enterprise update cycle, you might not have them. So for those of you looking today, us at Storyals, we are on the latest channel, the targeted channel, which also means that we get the latest features and functionalities of Outlook deployed into our environment right away. But with that, why don't we go in and we just look at some of the things that are really liked in the new Outlook. So Sandra, I'm going to share these with you.
Sounds good.
Okay. And I can imagine that you do get a lot of email every day. Tell us about your email management.
Yeah, the email. I mean, to be honest, I hate email. I was so happy when before the pandemic, we introduced Teams, and everyone moved over to Teams, and it was very little email. But yeah, email as little as possible. I prefer to use email.
But it's interesting that you say that during the pandemic, you started using Teams a lot. Some studies have actually shown that email have gone up again. So we went over to chat-based tools, and then some people have actually gotten back to email. And I can imagine in a large organization like Sandvik, when you communicate with a lot of people, it makes sense. But otherwise, we try to encourage that Teams-based or other types of communication methods like Viva Engage or Teams and intranet, SharePoint News for internal comms, and then email for more external. So how do you, if you need to follow up on an email, how do you track that today? Do you flag it? Do you mark it?
If I get an email that I need to act upon, either I do it right away if it's a short one, or if it requires more time, then I move it, drag it to the to-do list, and then it becomes a to-do. And then I save it in a separate folder, planning folder, so that it disappears from my inbox. I can also flag it and put a date and then put it away.
So this is a very, I would say, sophisticated of managing your emails. So some say if it's an email that takes 2 minutes or less, you should answer it right away and archive it. But if it's not, then mark it for later. So certain things that are in the new Outlook that are really popular are something called pin email. So in the new Outlook, and this is similar to if you're using Outlook on the web, you can pin the email, and so you can pin it to the top. So this is something that I've actually started doing myself. Before, I used to flag it and I used to put it in my action folder, but now, again, I pin those to the top. So this is a very popular one that's in the new Outlook. So pinning email to the top. Another one, like you said, is to drag and drop email, but instead of adding it as a task, you drag and drop it to the to-do sidebar. So you can then make it into a to-do by just dragging it in there, which is also another popular one. Another one that is popular in the new Outlook is the send later. So even though we work internationally, sometimes we find ourselves that we need to send an email, but it's not really a good time zone. So here in the email itself, it's very simple. Just go to the send button and then choose when do you want to send that email. So I don't know, Sandra, do you think about the timing for when sending email in Outlook, or you kind of just send them whenever you're working?
No, I think about that, but then I might save it as a draft. I would not send something at 10 o'clock in the evening to someone in my time zone.
Okay, so I can warmly recommend then, because if you want to send an email when it's convenient for the receiver, then you also have to think about when do you send it. So being able to send that email and schedule it for later, at least then you get it out of your task list, so to speak, but you can make sure that it's delivered on the time that you want. This is something that you can do in the classic Outlook also. It's just that it's a little bit trickier. You have to go in and you have to go to the settings and you have to put send later. Whereas in the new Outlook, it's right there on the send button. So it's very easy to follow up on that. So that's one that I do a lot. There's also something called quick actions in the new Outlook. So in the classic Outlook, we had something called quick steps. Sandra, did you create any of your own quick steps for like archive or flags? Just like with a click of a button, you could do a quick step?
Yeah, I do that for if I want to archive like a meeting response, or I have a few of those set up.
So this is something that I really took to me as well in the new Outlook. So instead of having them like in the top toolbar, the quick actions, you have them right next to the email. So I can choose what are my favorite actions. So personally, it's archive or delete, and then flag for follow-up. Those are like the three actions that I do every time: archive, delete, or follow-up. So with these little quick actions, you can right away action an email very, very quickly. And we also, thanks, I see that a lot of chats are coming in here as well. That's really nice for comments. So Eric has a very good comment that the delivery timing is also relevant when we're talking about Teams. So you're absolutely right. Even when we do Teams chats or Teams channels, in the message itself, we can schedule it for later. So that's also really great to think about. I should get better at that myself, that I should maybe not send chat messages, but also it depends on the culture of your organization. But definitely something that's good to think about as well. So we have also a comment here from Irene that threads in the email conversations can be a little bit confusing. And this is something that we often train our users on when it comes both to classic Outlook and the new Outlook, that the view and how you choose to see your email is very personal to you. If you want to see them by conversations, or if you want to see them one by one as they come in. So I think this is really on par in both the new Outlook and the classic Outlook, that it's really up to you to kind of choose how you see the email. Personally, on my mobile, I like to see them as they come in. So like by time, so not threaded, so just as they come in. But in my inbox, I like to have a threaded conversation so that I can see the conversations one by one. So that's a little bit of preference in terms of what you like. There's also something here in the whiteboard that you can see that's called undo send. So I love this. I don't know about you. Whenever I see like a recall email, what do you do, Sandra? If you see that someone has tried to recall an email, what do you do?
I don't get that so often, actually.
Oh,
But I would be quite curious, I think.
right? I mean, it's like the total opposite when you're looking. Everyone's like, you read it. Yes, yes, absolutely. So this is also something in Exchange and Outlook where they said that you could recall a message, but there were so many ifs and buts. It's like, then if the recipient cannot have opened it, the recipient has to have exchanged the same exchange online. There were so many different prerequisites for any recall to actually happen. So in most instances, you would just see that the sender tried to recall this message. And of course, you become super, super curious of what it was. So what they've introduced in the new Outlook, which I think is actually better. So they have something called undo send. But what it is, it's that it's actually a delay in seconds. So you click send. So yourself, you think that you've sent it, but then it takes a few seconds before the email is actually sent off. So if you notice yourself that, oh man, stop, like I don't want this to be sent, you do have that timeline where you have a few seconds where you can choose to go into those settings. So that's also something that I like, because sometimes you're a bit quick, and especially for those of us also who might be using AI and Copilot, you read through it and they're like, oh wait, I want to double check that it really makes sense. So the undo isn't really an undo, but it kind of helps you from sending that email right away. So that's also something that you can do in the settings. Sandra, as a communication specialist, how do you feel about loop components?
I mean, we've used it quite a lot in our management team and when we have like projects that we collaborate on. So I find it quite useful, but I think we have not taken it, we don't use it too much, I would say. But when we have used it, I think it works well.
So, I mean, and I think this is also one of those things in terms of behavior, and people are so used to working the way that they do. But what I love is that all of you can edit that, and it's one source of truth, no matter where you work with this loop component. So many of us, again, we like using chats or channels in Teams, and then someone else can use Outlook. So we had a question here about what is a loop component. So as you can see, let's take this example that you see on the screen here, right? So you can see this is an email where it says, I'm so excited to see you tomorrow. Here's the final checklist for what to bring. And you can see the square here, or the rounded square. This is a loop component. So what happens is if you insert a loop component into your email or into your chats or into your channel, everyone sees a live view of that list. So if someone then goes in to update something, then that gets updated for everyone. So it's like it's live. So, and you can share the same component in Outlook, you can share it in the chat, and everyone gets the same. So it's really good if you have multiple people and maybe they're not in the same channel, or you want to kind of re-emphasize something. See this for tomorrow. Sometimes you do have to use different channels to communicate with, but instead of then working with stale copies of the information, you're sending that component into an email or into the chat. So you can see there's the symbol for loop. It looks like a little circle. So whenever you see that, you can insert a loop component and you can copy it to different channels. So that's a little bit of things in terms of working with mail and some of the highlights that people really, really like. When it comes to the email, so I know, Sandra, that you like to follow up on your tasks, you like in the calendar view. Is there something specific in the email management that you miss that you want to hold on to in the classic? Or like for mail, you feel that this is the mail itself, the new Outlook has what you need?
For email, no, for me personally, I think it's good enough. Email I could move over and doesn't really matter. What I heard from a colleague was like propose new time was a little bit more
difficult. Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah, so let's go then to the calendar and
Separates in the
meeting
calendar, yeah.
management. So yes, so here, here there are a lot of discussions. So one that I do want to highlight is this about being able to use multiple time zones. So I saw in one of your also comments that you have a colleague who has 3 time zones set up in her classic Outlook or his classic Outlook and hasn't been able to do that in the new Outlook. This, I can tell you, is one of my favorite things in the new Outlook. I mean, it is amazing. You can have up to 21 time zones. And of course, you wouldn't have that because you wouldn't be able to see your calendar, but you can have so many time zones. And what I also love about it is that when you're adding a new time zone, you can just put in what city. So I can just put in time zone London, time zone Helsinki, time zone Oklahoma. I don't have to go in and like manually select, is this UTC -5? Is it Eastern? Is it Pacific? Like what time zone is it in? You just search for the city or the place, and the new Outlook will find the time zone for you. And you can have so many. So this is something that I really, really like in terms of working in the calendar. Another one, when it comes to working in different time zones, is that sometimes when you want to book a meeting with multiple people and they're placed in different parts of the world, and you're booking a meeting and you don't know what time is it in their time zone. So I know that it's 5 p.m. in Stockholm. Then I know, depending on the daylight saving, that it's 3 hours ahead in Dubai. But what is it then in New York? And what is it in Los Angeles? So when you book a meeting with multiple people and you go in to the scheduler, you see everyone's current time in the calendar. So I can see, oh, this is 6 a.m. for Julianne. So yeah, that might work for her, but like no one else wants to have a meeting at 6 a.m. So this is based on your location and it just appears in your time scheduler. So this is something that I really like because then it's easier for you to schedule when you can see where are people. So the one that you mentioned and that we've heard feedback from before as well, and the interface here for when proposing new time. So we have the screenshot there for the classic Outlook, and then we have the one underneath for the new Outlook. And so here's the thing, the feature and the functionality is there, but it's much more intuitive in the classic because you answer your calendar and you say just like the tentative or decline and propose new time. So it's easier to find that. When you're in the new Outlook,
you have to click more options to find propose new time and there select the tentative or decline.
At the top, you see also where it says note. So typically you want to reply to someone that, can you move this to Wednesday instead, or can you move it to another time? You want to write that little note. This note is a little bit hidden, I agree, in the new Outlook, and it's a little bit difficult to find. So it's there, you just need to kind of go in and locate it to see where it is. But it is available and it is there. Some also find like the new interface a little bit trickier. And I would say in the beginning, I couldn't stand it. Like I felt that it was too much like the web, and I really liked the classic, but it grows on you. And it's one of those things, after a while you get used to it and you don't really think about it. So let's go back to a bit more of the calendar management functionalities, and we can go through them, and then we can also go to some of the things that might be missing in the new Outlook. One is at the top there where it says week numbers. I don't know if there's any other country than Sweden that uses week numbers. Sandra, do you work with any other country? I'm not sure.
No, I don't know, but it's very important to us anyways.
It's very important. Like this is week 9 and this is week 10. So for Sweden, we're very, week numbers are very important to us. Now, in the classic Outlook, you can turn on week numbers, but you cannot edit or change how the weeks should be calculated. Now, believe it or not, there are different standards for week numbers. It could be when it's the first Thursday of the week. It could be the week that has January 4th in the week, or it could be the week that has the first day. So there are many different standards for how we're calculating weeks. So I think also it's important here in Outlook, in the new Outlook, when you set your week numbers, you can also put how do you want the week numbers to be calculated. And for those of you here who are Swedish, it is the week that has the first 4 day of the week. That's what's number 1. So go into the settings and choose the week that has 4 days. And then you can make sure that at least for Sweden, you have the correct week numbers in your Outlook calendar. So it's just one of those things that is, you do the setting once, but then that you have the correct week numbers. But I would also recommend everyone who works internationally, no one else knows week numbers. So just stick to the dates. Another thing that I really like in the new Outlook is that you can see declined meetings. So sometimes that you can't attend a meeting and you need to decline, but it's also quite nice to see it that you've declined this meeting, because then you can remember to follow up, or if in case your other conflicting meeting was canceled, you can go back and you can say, oh, but then I can attend this meeting. So this is an option that you have in the new Outlook. Of course, you can choose if you want it on or off, but personally, I really like seeing declined meetings as well. The other one is that you can follow meetings. So Sandra, I can imagine that you have a lot of meetings that are conflicting in your day.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
And I mean, now that we can transcribe meetings, we can follow up on meetings. The good thing is if you choose, instead of declining a meeting, if you click to follow a meeting, the organizer of that meeting gets a notification that, yes, you are following this meeting. And then you will get a recap of the meeting itself. So you will get the summary, and if the meeting is recorded, you will also get it as a follow-up. So I love this one because it also means that, look, I'm interested, I want to attend, but unfortunately I'm not able to attend. So then you can just choose to follow the meeting, and then you still have the history and you still have it there. Sandra, are you using like the premium or the add-on Copilot in your workday?
Yeah.
And do you use that for meetings a lot, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think typically when we talk about Copilot, those are one of the kind of first benefits, that you get recaps of your meetings, you get those AI insights. And now also Microsoft are adding more and more functionality to just the normal Copilot chat. So for those of you who don't have the premium version, there's still a lot of good things that you can do even with Copilot chat that we also warmly recommend users to look into. There's one more here at the bottom, the in-person event. This is also something that I really like. By default, a lot of our calendar invites have the Teams link. So by default, it gets added. But in the new Outlook calendar, when you send an invite and you say that this is an in-person event, it's highlighted in brackets in the meeting invitation itself. And when people respond, when they choose accept in the new Outlook, they can also accept as if they're coming in person. So I think this is also part of our hybrid work and how we work together. I think it's really good to point out this is an in-person meeting. And yes, I'm coming in person, because sometimes we also have those hybrid meetings where you have the option to do both. And that's something we don't have in the classic. And some of these things they will add, but some of the features they will not add. So that's also kind of how much. Now we know that we're going to have it for another year, and the support also extends, I believe, until 2029. But many of these features, I think it's really good for us as business users to start using and see the benefit from. The other one, which says here, my colleague loves this, Yasmin. So it says, edit this and all following events. So when you have a meeting series and you need to change the meeting series, so then you might not want to change the whole series. You don't want to change the past because the past meetings have already happened. So you want to keep those, but you want to edit all of the upcoming events in the series. So I really like this one as well, because then if you have all of these recurring series, then you can choose, we'll let the past be the past. We won't change those. But from now on, everything moving forward in the series should be updated. So that's also one of those hidden gems that I think is good in the new Outlook for the recurring meetings. Any questions there on the calendar, Sandra? The things that I've shared, do they resonate with you?
Yeah, I think this last one, edit this and all following events, I did that the other week for all, and then everything backwards as well got removed. So that
in the classic,
yeah, exactly. So this is an upgrade, I think, and also be able to follow meetings. Sometimes I respond tentative just to have it in my calendar and to be able to see the recording and things like that. So that is good, I think. But I think a good question related to that in the chat is the last one.
Can you read it for me?
To that, but what happens if I use the new Outlook and do an in-person meeting and the one responding is in classic?
So it will say in the person who has the classic Outlook, same as the one with the new Outlook, they will see in brackets where it says in person. So they will see that, and of course they'll be able to respond. But people who have the new Outlook, in the response, they will be able to say, I will RSVP in person, or I will RSVP online. So there's no difference when you send it out. Everyone will see those brackets that it's in person. It's the RSVP that you get where you will not be able to see if they RSVP in person or online. Of course, if there's no option, if there's no Teams link, then it doesn't matter, because if they can't attend in person, then there's no attendance at all. So I guess, but it's good when you have that option to put it that it's an in person. So that's a good question. Many of these things, of course, they have made sure that you can use both the new Outlook and the classic. But I mean, personally, again, I was going back and forth, but now I feel that the benefits of using the new Outlook really overweigh. So now I don't go back anymore. So for me, there are no game like showstoppers, even though, of course, I know that there is still a lot of things that are not there. So let's see. So we've covered a little bit of the calendar. I'd like to go and look at some of the other things that we have that are actually one more thing for the calendar before I forget that. So something that is also related to this hybrid work and working from the office or working remote. You can very easily see that in your calendar. So you can set a schedule for when I'm going to be working in the office and when I'm going to work remote. This has been introduced in the classic Outlook as well. So now there's like a my work schedule. So they've introduced that. I just find the interface a lot easier in the new Outlook, where you can go in and very, easily see your overview and share with others and communicate if you're working in the office or working remote. Let's look at some of the other things that we have. So in the new Outlook, they've really combined so that they have all of the settings in one place. So if you go to like the classic, it's like file, options, like calendar, and then some of them you go into the accounts and some to options. So I think like in the classic, you have to go to a lot of different places to get at your settings. Whereas the new Outlook, everything's gathered in one place and you can very easily search for the setting that you want. And of course, like in every other or Microsoft app, the amount of options that you have for your settings are so many. So it's good that you can go in and actually search for these. And so here it's very clear. You can see the accounts and the general and the mail. And so you can go in and do the settings. And what I also really like is that whatever you put here also applies to the mobile. So if you're using Outlook on the mobile. Personally, I like using the Outlook mobile and I swipe. I swipe to the left to archive, I swipe to the right to follow up, and then I mark them all and I delete. And these settings I can also do. I can do it in the mobile Outlook app, but it's easier for me to just do it in Outlook and all the settings there. So, Sandra, do you use Outlook on the mobile?
Yeah, that I do.
I know a lot of people like use the native mail app in their phone, but here again, I warmly recommend use the Outlook mobile because then you also have that synchronized way of working that goes across both the desktop, the web, and also the mobile version of Outlook. So that one I really like. There's also something called the improved search. So again, when you search in the classic Outlook, like if you want to search your mail, you need to go to your mail box. If you want to search your calendar, you go to your calendar. And yes, of course, that might be intuitive. But what I like about the new Outlook is that as soon as you go into the search bar, you get a filtered view. So if you search for something, I can see files, I can see meetings, I can see email. So it kind of filters out and it's easier for you right away to see what is it that I'm searching for. And it has quite a lot of granular search. I speak to some people say, oh, I'm using Copilot to find things. And I tell them we're not there yet with Copilot. Copilot is great for a lot of stuff, but it's not great for searching your Outlook. So here, just get very familiar with the search and just fine tune it. And I mean, you have so many options, finding keywords, finding attachments, like finding where is it that you want to search. So that's also really good tip of getting to know the improved search in the new Outlook. Now let's go to one of the showstoppers, not for me, but for some of my colleagues. Let's go way to the left. The dark gray mode. And those of you who know our colleagues know who this is. So our colleague Yasmin has the dark gray mode of Outlook. And she says, it's not too dark, it's not black, it's not too bright, it's not the white, it is this dark gray, perfect for your eyes. Now, we have tried because in the new Outlook, you have like all of these different themes and templates, and you can follow the default Microsoft Windows style. There's so many options, but I tell you, we have not been able to get this dark gray mode. And I've seen nothing on the roadmap either. So I don't know if all of these pro tips that we're sharing today will be enough, but this is something that Yasmin wants. Sandra, are you a white person or do you have like the dark black screen?
No, I use the white one. So it's that specific is not a showstopper for me.
It's not. Me neither. But it's so funny. Whenever I go to like more IT and more techie people, they always tend to have the dark mode. So it's like, okay, yeah, I see. I mean, it is supposed to be better for your eyes, so maybe it's something that we should look into. But yeah, it's one of those things as well with a habit. I'm familiar with having a white background. But there are a lot of also like colorful, maybe not so important for most of us business professionals, but I know a lot of the younger audience, they like that they can choose the icons, they can choose the colors, they can put a specific theme, so it can look a little bit better. No. Now let's go to the major task, the major showstopper for you, Sandra.
Yes.
Share. What is this?
Yeah. So this is the number one functionality that I use all the time. As I said, email I don't care so much about, so I could use new Outlook for that. But my calendar and the tasks, having that directly in my calendar underneath each day. So here you see a screenshot of an ideal week for me. Not so many weeks look like this, but lots of focus time, meetings, etc. But here you see the tasks underneath my calendar.
So this is
for
the
me,
way, yeah. This is
so
where you organize your day. So you
yes,
have also the
yeah,
different colors for categories, and
yeah,
then you put the
yeah.
tasks for each day.
Yeah, so it gives me a really good overview of the full week and the amount of focus time compared with tasks for those days. And I can easily shift tasks from Monday to Wednesday, just drag and drop. And having it like I see full Monday as well, what I have, what day is it today? Tuesday, what I have ongoing this day. And so it's both a good overview and for the specific day.
And I remember this is actually the post that you shared that like went
Yeah.
viral and how we started discussing this, because I'm like, Sandra, this is the classic Outlook. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
And we've tried. I mean, I've looked at, okay, well, you can do it like this. You could use My Day and you could look at your to-dos in the My Day and like you could, but and you're like, no, it's not the same. No, it's
exactly.
not the same.
I know I can have it to the right, like tasks. Yes. You can have the full day to the right, but I want the full week and the full day.
Yes. So I am so sorry. Like, I wish that I could tell you that this is on the roadmap, but no, it is not. And not, well, nothing that's official.
Oh my God.
How will we do
it's
this?
another year then for both me and for Microsoft.
Oh, this is so funny. Yeah. So, I mean, I see this, and I actually used to have this view as well, but then I just had too many tasks every day, so it just like the view
That's
anyway.
Another problem. But
but so for me, I also what I didn't like with the task like this was that they're set on due date. So if I don't check them off, they still stay with the due date that was yesterday. And then I had to manually change the due date to forward in time. But what I like about to do is that, yes, I can put a due date, but I don't tend to do that. I tend to put them on my day. So then I have them like, okay, this is what I need to do today. So I do like the daily scheduling and daily planning. And then if I don't do it, they don't disappear from my task list. They're still there, but then I can take a new chance tomorrow and add them to my day. So
it is a little here as well. So if I don't finalize task 4 today, it rolls over to tomorrow.
Oh, so even disappear. Okay, so it rolls over as unfinished, but the due date doesn't change. Okay, so I think you can also choose how you view them. In this view, you can view them by due date, or so that's true. There you can see you like if you want to see the completed or not completed. Okay, so that's true. They do follow you along.
Yeah.
The tasks never leave.
Exactly.
Oh. Well, we've gone around, and I'm sure that there are lots of things in the chat. So I'm going to ask my colleagues there. So if there's something specific in the chat that you think that we should bring up, otherwise, I would actually want to see after this session today how everyone's feeling about the new Outlook. Have we been able to encourage you to take the leap to the new Outlook? And even though, like I said with Sandra, we weren't able to give you the great news in terms of having all of the features that you like in the classic Outlook available in the new Outlook, but maybe we've been able to show you at least some of the new features that we find exciting and that have taught us to love the new Outlook. So again, let's see, are you going to make the switch or not? So we now have, drum roll, dum, 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 dum. Yay! Okay, this is good. We're getting a few that are exciting to use it, and some see some clear, benefits. And again, for those of you who then prefer to use the classic Outlook still, know that there's now more time for you. And you also can use them in parallel, both the desktop applications on your computer, as well as starting to use it on the web, and again, also on the mobile. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Lovely seeing you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.